see if I'm going live. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Tailored Expressions Live. It's me, Heather Nichols, and it is Thursday, March 20th. So good morning. I'm going to flip up my chat to see who's joining me today. So as you are joining the live stream today, say hello, tell me where you're watching from, what kind of crafty things do you have going on. So we had our St. Patrick's Day holiday on Monday. I'm not sure how many of you crafted for that. We had a cute selection of products that debuted for that in early February. But now it's all spring, because isn't it today, I think, is the first day of spring. If I am remembering correctly from what I heard on the news, the news is on. I'm not always watching it in the morning, but I'm listening for, weather and different things like that, and keeping up on just current events and stuff. And I'm pretty sure, I think today is first day of spring. Yep, and Perry just reminded me, happy first day of spring. So it's all spring from now on, right? We don't have to worry about the snow. Well, we still have to worry about the snow. I'm in central Minnesota, so I'm not coming to you from Ankeny. I'm coming to you from central Minnesota. And we have snow that has gone through, but it has literally gone south of us and north of us, so we have nothing on the ground here. So many of you across the country have had more snow than we have had here in Minnesota. It's been kind of, I don't know, I miss the snow. I actually enjoy winter and the snow and everything like that. But we really don't have much for snow at all. In fact, we have a pond behind my house and the water is open. The ducks and the geese are arriving. We have a neighbor across the street and he feeds the ducks, and the ducks are very funny because they sit on his roof and wait for him to feed them. It's kind of, my dog thinks it's great because she is going to get the ducks and all of that. Yeah, some of you experienced some of blizzard conditions. We had last weekend just west of us. We had, because western Minnesota had blizzard conditions, but it literally was not where we were. We had some wind, we had a little bit of snow, but not the conditions they had from in western Minnesota. Jennifer from Delano, Gail, good morning. Debbie, good morning. The snow missed you too. Yeah, I think, some of us got hit and some of us did not. And of course, there's been wild weather across the country. This has been kind of a turbulent spring weather thing going on this year. Candy said no snowshoeing this year. Duluth has not had that much snow. I haven't been up to Duluth for a little bit. Usually you guys get a lot up there because of the lake, especially. So yes, Mary, central Minnesota is always a game of chance for weather. Yeah, don't get too comfortable because we had 60 degrees and then it's been in the 30s. It's supposed to get to 50 today, but this morning we are like at 20 or something like that. So it is chilly here this morning. Yesterday I felt like my hands, I couldn't warm up all day. So it's good to see all of you today. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's talk about what's going on at Tailored Expressions this week, in Tailored Expressions land, as I like to say sometimes. It is the Pick Your Pairings release this week. So this is the really fun release. We started doing these last year where we ask you what products you are wishing for, dreaming about, that coordinate with products already in the TE collection. And we let you submit these ideas, and then we take all of these ideas and we use some of them to create new product. And I think this is the second time we've done this. Like I said, last year we did it before. It was so much fun. I love hearing what you guys are dreaming about. We try to think of all the different possibilities. And of course, sometimes when the products come out, we're like, ooh, ourselves going that, but we know you also have opinions about that. And so we love to hear what you think. So it's been really fun to see the products that came out. There's quite a few that came out this week. And so I'm going to be creating with some of them today. You also saw a video from me on Tuesday with the Boots Umbrellas die collection, which that is so much fun to create. That umbrella is adorable. The boots are so much fun. I love a good polka dot boot. And I filled the boots with flowers cut out with the Garden Variety and Garden Variety 2 die collections, which I love those flower sets so much. And then today, if you stop by the blog or our YouTube channel, you're going to see a video from Alicia, and she is using, I think it's called, I got a note here, the Feel the Beat And the Mixmaster background, those are coordinating. Well, the Mixmaster background was originally part of that Best Mix Ever with the little cassette tapes set. And then, but we have some cute little headphones to go along with that now. And she has a really fun card. I love the colors, totally like, to me, 80s color vibes coming through on her card today. I really, really like it. So make sure you check that out. I want to talk about a couple other things going on right now. I'm going to flip up a graphic for you. If you've not heard about the summer school event that we are having in June, I'm sure you may be, if you are paying attention at all, we are having a summer school event. I just repeated myself twice, so you heard it, right? And it is all about foiling with Taylor and Susan. And so they're going to do a little bit of foiling basics, but get in deep with all sorts of different possibilities that you can do when creating with foil. And the registration goes through April 30th. Let me check my notes. Yes, but there's an early bird price that goes through the 24th, which that is coming up pretty quick. So make sure you check that out. There are some special things as far as, I think there's a coupon for a Minc if you don't have one. So make sure you check our website for all of the details on that. But definitely all of these events are worth your time. They are all live streamed, but you can go back and watch them later too. So if you can't make it that day, or if you're like, I want to watch and then I want to go back and reference, that sort of thing. So that's going on. And then the other thing going on in March is, of course, the TE Maker Challenge. So if this has slipped under your radar, we're already past the middle of March. I can't even believe it. But the TE Maker Challenge this month is doing anything with watercolor. And I've already seen so many great watercolor projects. So I'm going to be joining you next week for the live too. And we will be doing some watercolor with liquid watercolors. So I will be joining in that. That'll be kind of hitting that last couple days of the month and give you that last chance to put that in. But there's the details on the TE Maker Challenge. This is information that is available in our Fans of Tailored Expressions Facebook page. We'd love to have you join us there if you aren't already a member. So good. It's good to see all of it. Judy says, my sweater has splatters on it. Well, it's actually one of those kind of, I don't know, what do you call that when the yarn is kind of got the little flecks in it? So, but yes, it does look like it's splattered, right? You can tell why I like it. Good morning. So I think there's a lot of people that are on spring break. Spring break here in St. Cloud is like the first week in March. So a lot of times it's still very wintry that week. But I know a lot of you are having spring break now, and it's just, there's kind of spring break going in the next several weeks before and after now. So Trina's asking, do you know if there will be new colors of foil coming out for the class? That I'm not sure of. I don't get all that intel on that. I mean, we release new things all the time, but we also don't usually tell you about it unless it's in a sneak peek. But yeah, I don't know for sure. There's always a possibility, and there's always more colors that we can do in foil, isn't there? So it's going to be fun. So if you have any interest in foiling at all, if you like doing it, I always say, even if it's something that I'm familiar with a class, I love still doing classes like that because I always learn something new, whether it's a way that the teacher approaches a technique that I have always done, or there's just inspiration there in general. So, and I go back to, there's going to be basic techniques, yes, but there's going to be more than that. So this is a class for everybody who is interested in foiling, whether you've done little to no foiling or you've done a lot of foiling. So keep that in mind. So yeah, lots of people talking about the winter weather going on. Sarah B says marled. Well, kind of, I guess, when you've got the little pieces kind of twisted into the yarn, that can definitely be considered marled. So, all right, so let's also talk about what's going on next week. And if you are paying attention to your calendar, you know that this is the last week of the month going on next week, which means that the last Tuesday of the month, we are releasing a kit. So a new kit is coming next month. I didn't design this one, but I love this one. I mean, I love all the new products that we come out with. So this is going to be really fun. So yes, I have sneak peeks for you. I'm going to pop these up. And like I said, we're going to do a little watercoloring on the live next week because I'm going to be joining you again next week. So here is a peek of the cards that I created with the kit that is coming out next week. So there you go. It's beautiful, you guys. And we were actually, if you were at the virtual Stamp Joy, which I saw so many of you there online. We had some of you come and visit us in person, which was super fun. I always love spending time with my favorite TE gals down there. We don't get to see each other in person very often. It's so much fun. But while you guys were doing the classes and stuff behind the scenes, we were working on making lots of samples with the new kit. So there's stuff, lots of fun stuff coming, and it was fun to create together. So yeah, Susan said it's heathered. Yeah, that's another word too. So yeah, so there's your sneak peek. Sarah, you haven't played with your last kit. Which one was that one? Was that the circles one? Am I thinking right? You haven't played with the circles? Oh, so much fun. That was another thing that I played with when I was down there, was the circles, because I wanted to do more. So I was playing with that, and I have some other panels made with some of those circle dies, and I bought more panels to create more cards. So that was a lot of fun to do too. So let's get crafty today. Like I said, we're going to be creating with one of the new, several of the new products that are in this Pick Your Pairings release. You probably saw the peek of the project that I'm going to share if you were following social media. I know it was posted on Facebook. I'm not sure if she had it on Instagram or not, but let's flip the camera down to my desk. We are going to be creating with the Arch New Day stamp set. So this was a stamp set that made its debut this week. I have two of the cards here, and you might have noticed in the picture there are three, so we're going to complete our trio by creating that card today. Actually, Taylor has it down at the studio with the Arch New Day set, and the other, and this coordinates with the, let me grab it, the die collection, the Arch Nouveau die collection. I love this little set. There's been a lot of fun things that have been coming out that coordinate with this fun arch. Plus you can use it with so many other things as well. So it coordinates with that. And then we're also going to be using the new group text foilet panels. I think this is Occasions 2 if I'm remembering correctly. So it includes the sentiments, just a note, get well soon, and with sympathy. This is one of those products that you will foil it. I mean, you can actually use them just printed too, and then we're going to use that group text die to cut out all of those sentiments at one time. So very, very fun. And there's a new backer die available that mats this little shape here just perfectly. So that's also something that we're going to use today. All right, so we're going to do some coloring with Olo markers as well. So I am going to be stamping my image onto a piece of the Express It blending card. That is the cardstock that is designed to work with alcohol-based markers really well. So I'm going to grab my little mini Misty here. And like I said, we are going to be using, I just set my stamp set over here, the set with the stamp with the rainbow and the envelope to complete my trio that I created. So the blending card, you can use sugar cube cardstock with alcohol markers. It does work with it. The blending card, it's just designed to hold that alcohol ink really, really well. And let me get my magnet here. I'll be stamping this with Oreo ink. Our Oreo ink is a hybrid ink, and so it is designed to be able to be used with both alcohol markers, but you can also watercolor with this too. So once it's dry, you can do all sorts of stuff with the Oreo ink. It's really versatile. So we're going to stamp onto the Express It blending card with the Oreo ink. Grab my Just Press tool here. And let's ink up that stamp. And we're going to stamp that onto the blending card. Do a few impressions to get a nice crisp black. And like I mentioned, you want to make sure your Oreo ink is completely dry. I have a little something on my stamp here, so it's making a little thing there. So we're gonna, I got that off of there. We're gonna restamp that. That looks good. Now, instead of waiting for this to dry, which it doesn't take a long time, but especially if you're going to be using like yellow or light colored inks or whatever, I just find I just want to leave this for amount of time. You can use a heat tool just to hit it and make sure that it's completely dry, but I've got one here stamped that is ready to go. So we're gonna go ahead and use that to color. The coloring technique that I'm using today, I don't know if you can see, I really didn't do any sort of blending with this color. I am coloring using a flat coloring technique, so I'm just laying down the basic color. And sometimes I think when we think about especially Olo markers, while you can blend with them and they're beautiful to blend that way, they're beautiful on their own too. And the alcohol inks just give such a smooth, polished finish to your color that doing just the plain color is beautiful. It really, really is. So if you're at all worried about blending and I can't do that, and I see those beautiful projects online, you don't need to be super fancy. You don't need to overthink it. So these are the colors that I'm going to use. So I'm just going to put these up on the screen so you can screenshot that if you are interested in knowing what the colors are. Also, if you go on my blog, I have all of the colors listed out there as well. So there's kind of a focus. So these are the colors that we are going to be using of the Olo markers. Let's stick them in a jar right here. And let's start coloring. So I am going to do the heart I also have a little paper that when I'm creating, and this is something too, when you're coloring and creating, I'm constantly trying different colors out, writing them down and everything. So this looks messy, but I keep it with my, you can keep it in a sketchbook or rewrite it down so that you can keep track of what you used for your colors. So we're gonna use the R0.4, and I'm gonna use that to color both of the hearts. There's a teeny heart up here and a big heart there. Again, I'm not doing any sort of special blending. I'm just coloring in the images. And I like to just go over it twice. That gives it just a little bit darker look. And then we're going to do this top stripe of the rainbow with that Olo marker. And believe me, Dana says, I stink at shading. You know what? It takes a lot of practice. It really, really does. And I mean, there's some great formulas to use with the numbering system of the markers, but it's one of those things that definitely takes practice. Okay, so here's our yellow. We're going to use the Y0 2.3. Carrie, good morning. Welcome to your first TE Live. We're glad you're here. All right, let's color in the second stripe of the rainbow with the Y0 2.3. That's the one I'm using here. You can see the 2.2 on the other end. I have my markers paired up. I think I want to actually switch them and do them all singly. So this one doesn't have all of the greens and everything in it that I showed you. So this is where I use that YG 8.5. Here's where I use the two different teal colors. We're just gonna grab that lighter color, the BG 2.3 to use on the rainbow, but on the bird, that's where I use the two colors. And also on the coffee cups, you can have a little bit darker inside and outside. So there's where those other colors come into play. We are gonna use that warm gray here in just a minute. So this is the BG 2.3, and we're gonna go ahead and color that in there. And paper is so important. Like I said, I'm using that Express It blending card. Our Sugar Cube cardstock does work really well with Olos as well. But alcohol markers require a certain type of paper to use, or you're gonna have a lot of problems with bleeding. You might have trouble with, if you are gonna blend, blending color. And so keep that in mind. Okay, so then I'm gonna go to the W Warm Gray 1. This is kind of one of my go-to colors for shading. Right now, I've got a white cloud with a white background and a white envelope with a white background, and I'm gonna highlight in the cloud to make it pop and separate it from that background. So I'm just gonna add kind of some coloring right around the edges of the cloud. That's gonna pop that. I'm gonna do the same with the envelope. Just to get that kind of pop happening. It's kind of outlining and adding just that little bit depth of color. And if you take a look there at the difference of what that looks like, just adding that touch of gray and how it changes the look of that cloud and that envelope sitting on that white background. Now you can get super fancy and color in all sorts of other parts and pieces on your images. I kept this pretty simple, so it's totally up to you about how you want to do that. The quality is awesome. Good morning, Lori. She is our local resident Olo guru for sure. I'm not doing anything super fancy today, but I think Lori would agree. Sometimes the simplest of coloring can be so effective. All right, and of course, I gotta splatter this because, hello, when do I not splatter? I mean, there are times that I don't splatter, but I gotta do it. So I've got my little mini glass mat here with my chocolate truffle liquid watercolor. This has just been on this little block, and I'm gonna just reactivate it with my water brush here to pick up that color. Ooh, my water brush feels very juicy. And we're gonna just tap that to add a few splatters with the chocolate truffle. I love a little bit of a rustic lean on my projects that I do. If you don't like splattering, you don't have to do it. Janet, I'm using the Express It blending card for the project that I'm doing today. Sugar Cube cardstock also works as well. I think they, you know, when you color with both of those, they have their own characteristics as far as coloring goes. So I like both of them for different reasons, but I did the Express It blending card today. The package, just, let's see if I've got it nearby. I thought I did. I thought I had my package. I literally was holding it in my hand. Okay, well, I'm not going to show it to you, I guess, but it is on the website. If you search the, it's like X-PRESS Express It blending card, it'll come up on the website. All right, I'm picking up a little bit of that Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White ink. I'd like to just work it in my lid here with my water brush. And we're gonna tap to get some white splatters going on there as well. Stacy, I used the Warm Gray 1 for the shading. It's a real subtle gray. I actually a lot of times like to use that just to even outline images that I do because it helps just pop them, especially on a white background like that. Dana, I would definitely recommend the Oreo ink. It works really, really well with the Olos and other brands of alcohol markers as well. It's a really good ink we're using with that. Okay, let me wipe off my surface here. And why don't we do some foiling? We need some sentiments to go with our cards, so let's do that. And we'll kind of do some die cutting all at the same time. I've got my mini Minc here and it's all warmed up. My mini Minc is really happy at a 3. If I go a little bit higher, I think my mini Minc just tends to run a little bit warmer. So for me, this is the right recipe for my foiling. I would play around with your machine. I think usually you're gonna fall between a 3 and a 4. I've heard that sometimes people go down to a 2, but like I said, for me, my machine is very happy at a 3. So you're gonna make sure that warms up when that green light is on. That is good. I'm gonna foil the Just a Note panel. Like I said, there's also With Sympathy and Get Well Soon in this package. The group texts are awesome for card mass producing. All right, I had a Foil Magic Shim, there it is, and my carrier sheet, and I'm also going to be using TE Gold Fun Foil. You're gonna wanna make sure you have that toner compatible foil. Hot foiling foil does not work with these. That is using the pressure versus the toner to transfer the foil. All right, I'm going to just cut that strip there. So I'm cutting a piece of fun foil to cover. And you could do this a couple different ways. I'm going to just do this and then cut it out. If you want to cut these all out and then foil them as you need them, you can definitely do that too. I don't know if you guys have seen, I hadn't purchased these before, but I was in the TE studio and was very excited. We have the scrap, are they called scrap packs? Yes. And they're packs of all different small cuts of foil that you can order, and you get a little mixture of all different colors. Of course, in the studio, I got to pick up my own mix, but I can guarantee it's going to be something fun like these. But if you're just using for one sentiment or something like that, these are perfect, and you get a whole variety of colors to use. So I'm excited to use some of these. Like I said, I'm going to do this whole panel at one time this time, but this is an option for you with foiling. You can have some fun with that. Okay, so I'm going to take I've got my Foil Magic Shim. I'm going to set my panel down there. We're going to cover that completely with the foil. Like I said, I've got my machine heated up, ready to go. And we're going to send that through. Lots of people sharing where their minks are happy at. Yeah, Pam, get a scrap pack. I'm excited to play with those. And I love that I got little samples of all sorts of different colors to play with. Because I'm sure, like, I don't have this purple, and I don't think I have the orange or this blue. I think I have a little bit of the green. But it gives me like a sample, because then maybe I'll get the whole roll next time of some of those colors. Okay, so I've got that out of there. And we're just gonna let this cool just slightly. And we're gonna just peel that foil off. And we've got a whole page of gold foiled sentiments. Like I said, this is perfect. Like if you're gonna make a bunch of cards, to make card sets, or you just want to have a bunch in your stash, or you are doing a craft sale and you need a lot of sentiments for your cards, this is perfect. Just perfect. Okay, we're going to move this. I'm going to turn this off and set this aside. And I think it's time to do some die cutting. So I'm going to grab my die cut machine. Oh, this way. So let's cut out this one first. Like I said, these images coordinate with that Arch Nouveau die, and I am just going to use the smallest die to cut out the images. I've got some scratch removable tape. Let's line that up on there. I'm going to flip this over so the cutting blade is down, because that won't work if I don't do that. Once I get that lined up, I'm just going to tack that down so it doesn't move. Pam, I don't know if we have an iridescent. There might be some in the Deco Foil brand, which we do still carry the Deco foil. But the fun foil, I don't know that we have an iridescent one yet. There's that one cut out. And then we're going to cut out our sentiments with that group text die. Guys, I set things down all over the place and they vanish. There it is. Okay, so we've got guides on this panel. Just gonna slide that over so I can line up that die over that. So I get those squares lined up there. I'm also just visually looking at the sentiments to make sure everything looks lined up before I commit. And I'm just going to use some tape to tack these in place. And I'm going to send that through the die cut machine. It's running into stuff at the end of my desk here. I had to rearrange my desk situation because I changed how my lights were a little bit, and now my drawers are all off. I have to get used to where everything is. So there we go. We've got a whole bunch of sentiments all ready to go. And I have a bunch of them that I cut out earlier also sitting in the little dish, just waiting to be used. So I'll probably keep these all together with my panels, so when I am ready to grab a sentiment, they're ready to go. I don't have to cut them or foil them, or they're just ready for me. So we're gonna set that just a note aside so we can use that later. And I need to cut out the matte part for my sentiment using that one. I should have a little piece of Toffee Cardstock around here somewhere. There it is. So we're gonna cut that out. Flip this over. Send that through. And of course I'm using Toffee Cardstock, but you can use whatever color you want. I'll set that down. The other thing we're going to cut out is we're creating a little kind of background mat, and if you look, there is a impressed pattern in there. This is the Pierced Circles impression plate, and we're going to cut out a piece of, so it doesn't really matter which order you do this in because of how this pierces into the paper. If you were doing like an embossing folder, you would want to cut your shape first and then add your pattern. But you could do this first, which let's do that first. You can do the impression plates, you can do those first, and then you can cut them out with another shape, because that design is kind of pressed or cut into the paper, and so it's not going to matter. They're not going to get smushed and like the embossed patterns would. The scrap packs are out of stock right now. Well, they need to get those back in stock. I feel like we have lots of people that need those. I'm sure they can. I'm sure there will be more. If you go to the website, click that notify me button, and then you'll get an email when they are back in stock. So I'm using the arch from the set that is the third from the top. So it's the third largest one. And again, I impressed my paper with that circles impression plate. And I am going to tape this in place because I'm lining up the pattern so that it looks kind of even in my shape. So that would be the benefit of doing the impression first and then cutting out the main shape that you're doing. Okay. So there is that background. So this is going to sit here. I can't pick up my piece. We're going to be adding our image in here. We're going to be putting our sentiment. We're going to be doing our little mat. So we've got most of this card, and I have a Toffee card base that's ready to go here. This is one of the heavyweight cardstock top fold card bases. I love it because I don't have to score or cut anything. So we'll be using that. And then we need a few more things to finish off our card. I have a little tiny flower embellishment that I added to the cards, if you can see there. So we're going to make some of those. And then this cute little scallop detail at the bottom of the card. So let's do those, and then we'll put the card together. All right, so the little flowers are from the How Does Your Garden Grow die collection. Now I don't have the whole die collection out here, but there are, I think, 3 different flower shapes in the set that cut out to make little flowers. You can use them in shakers or use them as embellishments, however you want. I'm going to cut this out of sugar cube cardstock. I mean, and you can have fun with these flowers. You can leave them single layer if you want. You can have some fun, you know, layering them on top of each other to get a cute little, let's see if I can make it happen here. A cute little layered flower like that. So cute. So these are so much fun. And again, that's called the How Does Your Garden Grow die collection. I believe these came out when we had a wedding release, but for spring and so many other projects, these are perfect. So I'm gonna set these aside because we're gonna add some flower centers to those. And then that little scallop detail at the bottom of the card that you see there, I used these are the edger dies. This is the second set. The more edger dies 2. This is the one I didn't write down, right? And this is the one now I can't remember the name. I actually kind of played around with this a little bit with larger scallops and smaller scallops. So there's a look at what the larger scallops look. I'll show you how I cut it. And also how far do you cut it from the edge of a strip of cardstock, and you get a totally different look. So that's just a couple other examples. And of course there are some cute edges here. This little zigzag edge. There's a teeny scallop without a stitch. There's a postage edge. There's this kind of, I don't know, stitch line, I guess you would call that. So I have a strip of cardstock. Now this is a 1/2 inch strip that I actually cut out with one of the Easy Strips dies. So that would be this one that I cut it out with. But you could actually just cut also a strip with your paper cutter as well. But this just worked for me to do that. And then I'm going to take my edger die, and I want it right up to the bottom edge there. Got a random piece of tape right there. And I'm just going to line that up with the edge of the strip. There's like barely anything showing there. And then we're going to cut that out to create our little lacy scalloped embellishment at the bottom of the card. I actually feel like, let me look at this again. I feel like I'm off just a little bit. I'm just going to adjust that so it's up to that edge. We'll cut that out. Thanks, Nydia. And here is that cute little scallop detail. Look how cute that stitching is right at the edge. So we're going to add that to the bottom of our card. Now I think we have everything cut out that we're going to use on our project. So let's go ahead and put this card together. All right, so we're going to get rid of the die cut machine. And let's move some of these out of the way and find all of the pieces that I need. Are these, and then I have this, and I have some flowers. Let's slide these over here. All right, so let's go ahead and fold this piece of cardstock in half to create the card base. Again, this is the Toffee heavyweight top fold cards that are available in the T Web store. Like I said, I love that I don't have to score and cut these out. They're ready to go. They're a nice heavy weight. I'm going to, we're just going to go ahead and add this here. I think I'm going to add these with the thin foam squares just to pop this up just a slight bit here on this confetti cake layer. Flying across there. Peel those off so we can add that to the card base. I'm just going to eyeball and kind of center at the top here so that I have about the same amount of cardstock border all the way around that arch. feeling pretty good. Maybe I'll move it down just slightly. These little foam squares, they hold on tight pretty quickly. Just be aware of that when you are lining everything up. And of course I can use the pattern a little bit to get things straight because I lined that up with that die cut. This is where I can fuss and fuss and fuss. It feels pretty good. All right, then I have my sentiment. So I'm gonna grab one of those gold foiled sentiments. I'm always like, which one is the best one? These all look pretty good. This was a good foil. And I need to attach that to the mat. And it's just a tiny little border around the edge of this one, just like 1/8 of an inch. Like that. And let's pop that up right there. I'm going to use these thin foam squares again and just kind of cut them in half and put them along that bottom half of the sentiment, because then this can overlap at the top. Like that. So let's go ahead and stick that down. I think I have this going kind of off the edge, just slightly off the edge of this part. So I'm gonna pop that there, line that up where I want it to go. That's feeling pretty good. All right, let's add this to the base. We're gonna pop this up a little bit. This time I'm gonna use the 1x3 foam strips. These are just about right to fit on there. Then I think I'm going to trim one just a little bit there for the top part. Right about there. Okay, this is going to be on the bottom, but let's get this attached down first. Again, I'm eyeballing it. If you need to get a ruler out, if you want to have that perfect center, that is up to you. Feeling pretty good about right here. Maybe a little bit over this way. Maybe I want my ruler. Now I'm fussing about it. About right there. That looks good. And then we're going to add this little trim to the bottom. I'm just going to run a tape runner along here. I'm going to center so that I have good scallop coverage so that it's about even from one end to the other. And I'm just going to line that up towards the bottom of the card. I love that. And then a cute little trim. Easy to do and add to your cards. And I'm flipping this over just to trim that even with the card base. Love it. And again, now we're going to do some flowers for the final kind of touch, final embellishment on the card. So I'm going to take my little flowers and we're going to add centers to them with these are the Bits and Pieces glossy white rhinestones. These are kind of my favorite, I don't know, this has been my go-to embellishment lately, these glossy white rhinestones. I keep reaching for them over and over again. I just threw a bunch all over here. They've been a go-to for sure. I am going to adhere them in place with a liquid adhesive. I like multimedia matte. So we're just going to add a center here to the largest flower. There are 2 sizes of rhinestones in the glossy white rhinestones pack. So I have a larger rhinestone right here. Of course, you can use a pick and place tool. I'm just going for it, I guess. And then I need 2 little ones there. making it harder than it needs to be because I'm not using my pick and place tool. Whoop. There's 3 little flowers, and I'll save these flowers for another time. And then I want them just to be, if you can see, they're not attached like directly to the project. So I'm using thin form square, but I'm gonna trim that down tiny. Let's try this end. Do I really need them to pop up? Yes, I do. I'm going to add that little tiny piece of foam square to the back of that. I'm just going to set these down to kind of put them where I want them to go. Yes, Louise, they add just that perfect little bit of extra. And of course, I think the other thing about the glossy white rhinestones for me is I love splattering with that white ink like that. And I'm always looking for ways, especially when I use Toffee, to add that bright white color in because it just brightens the whole project. And I think the little white rhinestones actually help do that. They help brighten things up a little bit. And so I keep going back for more. Okay, so there's where my flowers are gonna go. I'm living on the edge here because my glue is still a little wet. So I'm going to peel my little backer off, maybe. I should get my little paper piercer so I can get that out of there. My fingernails are not doing it today. There we go. So let's add that right here. Then we have this one. Get that backer off. I'm always brushing my desk off, getting all the backers off to toss into my garbage. I feel like this one should be moved up just a little bit. There we go. And then we have this one. That backer is already halfway off. Let's add that kind of right in here. And there it is. So now I have completed my trio of cards using that Arch New Day. I love the illustration on this. This is one of our new illustrators. Her name is escaping me at the moment, but she has so much fun. I don't know, they're just fun and whimsical and happy. I really, really love that style. And this is definitely, all of these are gonna bring joy. I mean, it's a little bit like the Get Well Soon, but we've got flowers. The Sympathy, the Sweet Bird is bringing the flower. The Just a Note. There's one more image in the set that's perfect for celebrating birthdays and things like that, but these were the 3 that I felt worked best with those group text sentiments. So there they all are. So cute, so fun. The coloring was so easy. I hope you guys enjoyed learning how I created the projects with these new products that are part of that Pick Your Pairings release this week. So yeah, so let's take one last look here and see. And of course I have lots of sentiments left over too, and I have to center myself. I'm so bad at the camera stuff sometimes. So thank you guys so much again for joining me today. I hope you've got a little bit of inspiration to create some springtime cards to send to people that are special in your life. And again, a very fun release this week. So I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Again, next week is going to be the newest kit, which you saw a peek of a little bit earlier in the broadcast. So make sure you join Taylor on Tuesday for that. There will be more sneak peeks. If you're part of the Fans of Tailored Expressions Facebook page, you will see the sneak peeks there coming this weekend. So don't miss out on that. And then, so Taylor will be with you on Tuesday, and then I will join you on Thursday. And like I said, we're going to do some watercoloring next week. So I hope you'll come back and join me, and I'll see you then. Thank you guys so much for joining me.